Persian Gulf entrance, January 25, 2025, 4:17 p.m. The sea was calm, too calm. A pale afternoon sun hovered over the mouth of the Persian Gulf as the most powerful naval force on Earth moved forward in perfect formation. 7 warships, 1 aircraft carrier, 90 aircraft, 7,000 sailors and Marines. At the center of it all, USS Abraham Lincoln. For 3 days, Iran had watched them coming. Every radar sweep, every radio emission, every mile closer. From Bandar Abbas to Hormuz Island, Iranian surveillance networks tracked the carrier strike group inch by inch. Analysts plotted trajectories. Commanders ran simulations. Missile crews rehearsed launch sequences in silence. This was not a patrol. This was an armada. And in Tehran, the decision was made. If the Americans entered the Gulf, they would be stopped by force. The plan. Iran's strategy was simple, brutal, and absolute. Saturation. Not 1 missile. Not 10. 44. Anti-ship missiles positioned across 7 locations. Coastal batteries, island launchers, and fast attack boats hidden among commercial traffic. Older C-802s mixed with newer Khalij Fars missiles. Different guidance systems, different flight profiles, all aimed at a single target. The carrier. Sink the symbol. Kill thousands. Force Washington to bend. At Iranian Revolutionary Guard headquarters, commanders watched the radar feed. The American formation was now within range. "This is our moment," one officer said. Orders were prepared. Launch keys placed in waiting hands. The Armada knows. Aboard the Abraham Lincoln, Admiral James Richardson stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the horizon. "They're watching us," he said quietly. "And they're planning something." Every ship in the strike group was already at heightened alert. Weapons hot, radars active, fighters armed and airborne. 16 F/A, 18 Super Hornets orbited above the fleet, engines humming, pilots waiting for a call they hoped would never come. Below deck, Aegis combat systems ran silent calculations, threat libraries loaded, intercept solutions pre-written. The American Armada didn't need to see the missiles to know they were coming. They only needed Iran to make one mistake. 4:17 p.m., Iran fires. The order came down in Bandar Abbas. Launch all missiles. Keys turned. Covers lifted. Ignition sequences initiated. From 7 locations, 44 anti-ship missiles erupted into the sky. Flames tore from launch rails. Smoke columns clawed upward. Fast attack boats fired and turned hard, racing for cover. Iran had committed everything. Flight time to target, 90 seconds. Detection, 4 seconds. For seconds after the first missile left its launcher, every ship in the strike group knew. Aegis alarms exploded to life. Vampire, vampire, vampire. Multiple inbound anti-ship missiles. Spy 6 radars painted the sky with hostile tracks. 44 red symbols converging on the carrier. Admiral Richardson didn't hesitate. General quarters. All hands, battle stations. Engage all threats. Weapons free. This was not a drill. The shield rises. USS Lake Champlain fired first. 10 SM-6 interceptors leapt from their cells, streaking toward the outer edge of the battlespace. Destroyers followed, SM-2s launching in rapid succession, white plumes marking their ascent. Japanese Aegis destroyers JS Atago and Ashigura joined instantly, firing their own interceptors without pause. 70 defensive missiles were airborne within seconds. Above them, the fighters dove. Fighters versus missiles. The Super Hornets received the order mid-turn. Engage inbound anti-ship missiles. Protect the carrier. This was desperate warfare. Fighter jets hunting sea-skimming missiles. Pilots locked targets barely meters above the water. M120 AMRAAMs streaked downward, detonating in precise bursts. Missile debris rained into the Gulf. It was working, but not fast enough. The inner ring. 17 Iranian missiles punched through the outer defenses. 15 kilometers. 10. Aegis systems reprioritized in real time. Japanese destroyers scored additional kills. American destroyers fired again. For missiles remained. 5 kilometers. Final defense. Rolling airframe missiles launched in coordinated salvos. 24 interceptors chasing 4 targets. 3 died in fireballs. 1 survived. 2 kilometers from the carrier. 10 seconds. Every phalanx CIWS on every ship activated at once. 8 Gatling guns. 60,000 rounds per minute. A wall of metal filled the air. The final missile disintegrated in a violent flash. Less than a kilometer from Abraham Lincoln. Silence. At 4:18:50 p.m., the sky went quiet. 44 missiles launched. 44 missiles destroyed. No ship hit. No casualties. No damage. The carrier sailed on untouched. What Iran learned. From the Iranian command center, radar screens went blank. The plan had failed. The saturation attack, designed to overwhelm, had been absorbed, dissected, and erased. The American Armada hadn't flinched, hadn't slowed, hadn't changed course. They had simply defended. Perfectly. The message. As smoke drifted across the Gulf and wreckage sank beneath the waves, the USS Abraham Lincoln continued forward. Steady, deliberate, unstoppable. Iran had fired everything it had prepared, and achieved nothing. The carrier strike group remained intact, alert, and ready for whatever came next. This was not just a defensive victory. It was a warning. In modern war, numbers mean nothing without dominance. Surprise means nothing without speed. And missiles mean nothing against a shield built for war. The Armada had entered the Gulf, and it was not leaving. 33 minutes. Persian Gulf, January 25, 2025, 4:17:30 p.m. The Iranian missiles were still in the air when the order was given. Not shouted, not debated, authorized. From the bridge of the USS Abraham Lincoln, Admiral James Richardson watched the threat tracks collapse one by one on the combat display. 44 hostile missiles. Failed ambush. He turned to his staff. Execute retaliation. Those 2 words triggered a response Iran had never experienced, and would never forget. The switch. For Iran, the attack had been the main event. For the United States, it was the signal. The moment Iranian launchers ignited, American targeting systems activated across the theater. Every radar emission, every missile battery, every command node that had participated was already mapped, prioritized, and locked. The strike was not improvised. It was pre-written, and now it was live. The sky opens. At 4:18 p.m., the flight deck of the Abraham Lincoln erupted into motion. Catapults slammed forward. One after another, 24 F/A-18E/F Super Hornets launched into the air, each carrying AGM-154 JSOW glide bombs and AGM-88 HARM anti-radiation missiles. Seconds later, 12 F-35C Lightning II stealth fighters followed silent, invisible, carrying GBU-53 Stormbreaker precision weapons. In the air within minutes, 36 strike aircraft, 192 precision-guided munitions. Iran's coastal defenses never saw them coming. The first kills. While aircraft climbed to altitude, the retaliation had already begun at sea. 8 AH-1Z Viper attack helicopters lifted off from USS Bataan and raced toward Iranian fast attack boats. The same vessels that had fired missiles and attempted to flee under cover of smoke and confusion. The boats scattered. It didn't matter. At 4:18:30 p.m., the Vipers opened fire. 64 Hellfire missiles streaked across the water. 10 boats, each struck repeatedly. Total destruction. 90 seconds later, the surface threat was gone. Burning wreckage sinking beneath the Gulf, blinding the coast. At 4:19 p.m., 4 A-18G Growlers activated maximum electronic warfare. Jamming flooded the electromagnetic spectrum. Iranian radars lost lock. SAM systems went blind. Communications fractured into static. Before Iranian operators could even understand what was happening, 48 AGM-88 HARM missiles launched from Super Hornets homed in on radar emissions. They didn't miss. Coastal radar stations disintegrated. Fire control sites collapsed. Early warning systems vanished. Iran's eyes were gone. The batteries die. At 4:22 p.m., the strike aircraft reached the Iranian coast. 7 missile batteries, every site that had fired at the carrier, were hit simultaneously. Bandar Abbas Coastal Battery. SOs slammed into launch vehicles and command trailers. Ammunition bunkers detonated in chain reactions. Qeshm Island. Missile launchers erased. Fuel storage ignited. Kish Island. Radar towers folded. Communications silenced. Abu Musa Island. The entire garrison vanished beneath precision impacts. No warning. No escape. Iran's anti-ship capability was being erased in real time. Stealth strikes deep. At 4:27 p.m., the war expanded inland. The F-35CS, never detected, slipped deeper into Iranian airspace. Targets: Revolutionary Guard Naval Headquarters, missile production facilities, command and control bunkers. Stormbreaker bombs struck with surgical accuracy. Concrete collapsed. Assembly lines vanished. Senior command staff were killed before alarms could sound. Iran wasn't just losing missiles. It was losing the ability to rebuild them. Allies enter the war. At 4:29 p.m., history shifted. For the first time in generations, Japanese naval forces joined an offensive strike. From the decks of JS Atago and JS Ashigara, 32 Tomahawk cruise missiles launched toward Iranian coastal command centers. Bunkers designed to survive conventional bombardment were penetrated and destroyed. The message was unmistakable. This was not America alone. This was alliance warfare. Total suppression. At 4:35 p.m., secondary strikes followed. 6 ammunition depots storing anti-ship missiles detonated in massive explosions. Shockwaves rippled through the terrain. Fuel refineries supplying Iran's military burned. Black smoke rising high enough to be seen from space. Radar production facilities, critical to Iran's air defense recovery, were flattened. Every layer of Iran's coastal defense system was collapsing simultaneously. No ground war. Aboard USS Bataan, 800 U.S. Marines stood ready. Helicopters fueled. Landing craft prepared. If ordered, they would land and secure the ruins. The order never came. There was nothing left to seize. The final strike. At 4:38 p.m., the last wave launched. Training centers where missile crews were taught to target ships were obliterated. Barracks collapsed. Simulators destroyed. Institutional knowledge erased. Iran would not train replacements anytime soon. 33 minutes. At 4:50 p.m., it was over. From first Iranian launch to final Allied impact. 33 minutes. Weapons delivered. 432 precision strikes. Targets destroyed. Missile batteries. Naval bases. Command centers. Production facilities. Fuel depots. Training grounds. Allied losses. 0. Aftermath. As fires burned along the Iranian coast, the USS Abraham Lincoln sailed north. Untouched, operational, dominant. The retaliation was complete. Not revenge. Deterrence. A demonstration of what happens when a carrier strike group is challenged. The message remains. You can threaten. You can posture. You can fire missiles. But you cannot overwhelm an armada built for war. Because when the attack fails, the response does not. 33 minutes. That was all it took. The armada sailed on. The Persian Gulf Gambit. Persian Gulf, January 25, 2025, early afternoon. The Strait of Hormuz, 21 miles wide at its narrowest. A choke point so deadly that a single misstep could ignite a war. At 2 p.m., the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group entered the strait. 5 warships, 90 aircraft, 7,000 sailors and Marines. The most formidable naval force the region had ever seen. Iranian radars locked on instantly. Coastal SAM systems activated. Every naval and missile unit went to high alert. From Bandar Abbas to Kish Island, from Qeshm to Abu Musa, the Revolutionary Guard's entire coastal network was watching, waiting. The warning. 3 days earlier, President Trump had given the order. Iran is threatening our allies, attacking shipping, supporting terrorism. Send the Armada. Show them what American power looks like. And now the Armada had arrived. No negotiation, no hesitation, pure projection of dominance. Admiral Richardson aboard the Lincoln knew what was coming. He had trained for this moment every day of his career. This was a test of readiness, a test of technology, a test of will. The decision. At 4:15 p.m., the Iranian Supreme National Security Council convened in Bandar Abbas. Prepare everything. Attack immediately, they ordered. 44 anti-ship missiles were ready. C-8002s, newer Kal-Fars variants, positioned at 7 sites around the Gulf entrance. Fast attack boats armed with missiles, coastal batteries, hidden launchers, all targeting the carrier. Throne, commander of Iran's coastal defenses, watched the radars. 40 kilometers away, the carrier, the symbol, the threat. Allah Akbar. Stop them. Sink the ship. Force them back. And then, missiles ignited. The ambush. 4:17 and 4 seconds p.m., 44 Iranian missiles screamed toward the Abraham Lincoln. Flight time, 90 seconds. A saturation strike meant to overwhelm, to destroy, to humiliate. But Iran had miscalculated. The strike group was already prepared. Aegis systems locked, SM-6 interceptors ready, combat air patrol armed, Japanese destroyers integrated. Every Iranian firing position already mapped and queued for retaliation. The ambush became a prelude, the defense. Within seconds, USS Lake Champlain fired SM-6 missiles at the furthest threats. USS Sterett, Michael Murphy, and Ralph Johnson launched SM-2 interceptors. Japanese destroyers JS Atago and Ashigura fired SM-3s and SM-2s. 16 F/A-18 Super Hornets dove to intercept sea-skimming missiles with AMRAAMs. Rolling airframe missiles activated across every ship. 33 seconds into the attack, the first explosions lit the sky. 44 missiles fired. 44 destroyed. Not a single ship touched. The counterstrike. While the Iranian missiles were still in the air, Admiral Richardson made a decision that would define the battle. Total retaliation. Engage every target that fired. Authorization transmitted. At 4:17 and 30 seconds p.m., the U.S. response began. From the Lincoln, 24F divided by a -18E divided by F Super Hornets, each armed with 4 AGM-154 JSOW glide bombs and 2 AGM-88 HARM missiles. 12 F-35C Lightning IIs, each carrying 8 GBU-53 Stormbreakers. Airborne within minutes, 192 precision munitions. Targets, all Iranian missile batteries, coastal radar stations, and command centers that had attempted the attack. Simultaneously, 8 AH-1Z Viper helicopters engaged the fast attack boats, launching 64 Hellfire missiles. Within 90 seconds, all 10 vessels were destroyed, leaving nothing but fire and smoke on the water. Electronic warfare dominance. At 4:19 p.m., 4 EA-18G Growlers unleashed maximum jamming. Iranian radars went blind. SAMs lost all tracking capability. Communications lines went silent. The retaliation was not just kinetic, it was total. Electronic dominance ensured the Iranian defense network would fail before the bombs even hit. Coastal devastation. From 4:22 to 4:27 p.m., the first wave of airstrikes obliterated every missile battery. Bandar Abbas. Launch vehicles, bunkers, and ammunition depots annihilated. Keshem Island. Fuel storage ignited. Radars destroyed. Kish Island. Coastal batteries demolished. Communications lost. Abu Musa Island. Garrison eliminated. Radar, launchers all destroyed. Then deeper inland, F-35C stealth fighters destroyed the Revolutionary Guard naval headquarters and missile production facilities. Command staff killed. Assembly lines flattened. Iran's ability to rebuild was gone. Allied strike. At 4:29 p.m., Japanese destroyers joined the offensive for the first time in 80 years. 32 Tomahawk cruise missiles targeted Iranian coastal command centers. Bunkers penetrated, staff eliminated. The message was clear. Attack America and face a coalition. Secondary targets. At 4:35 p.m., additional strikes targeted 6 ammunition depots storing anti-ship missiles. Complete destruction. For fuel refineries supporting military operations. Obliterated. Radar production facilities. Flattened. No replacement possible. Marines aboard Bataan were ready for landing operations, but the ground assault was unnecessary. Air power alone had achieved total neutralization. Final strike. By 4:38 p.m., missile training centers were destroyed. Barracks collapsed. Crew simulators reduced to rubble. Iran would not train new anti-ship teams for months, possibly years. The aftermath. 4:50 p.m., 33 minutes after the first missile launch. 44 Iranian missiles destroyed. 432 precision weapons delivered in retaliation. 12 Iranian bases leveled. 37 supporting facilities obliterated. Estimated Iranian casualties: 4,296 personnel. Allied losses 0. The USS Abraham Lincoln continued north, fully operational, untouched, unstoppable. The Persian Gulf remained open. Iran's threat neutralized. The Armada had sailed through, a testament to American resolve and Allied coordination. The message: you can launch missiles, you can posture, you can threaten, but you cannot stop the Armada, because every attack triggers retaliation. Every launch guarantees destruction. Every provocation meets overwhelming force. 33 minutes. 44 missiles fired. 432 weapons returned. Nothing remains. The Persian Gulf knew the Armada had arrived, and nothing would stop it. January 26, 2025. The day Iran learned what happens when you attack American carriers. The Armada always gets through.